Welcome back to another video, guys. Today we're talking about what makes this a B8 or 8.5 S4 S5 a grown-up WRX STI. So for reference, I did own a 2021 full bolt-on WRX. It was pushing 375 to the wheels and it was on ethanol. And I also owned a 2002 WRX with 20 pounds of boost. And I'm guessing you guys can assume how that went for me. So starting off with driving experience, we're gonna start with the most obvious thing, and that is that they are both all-wheel drive. So these all-wheel drive systems can obviously claw you out of corners, claw you through the corners, and you can also use this system to really drive pretty well in the snow if you do have to worry about snow where you live. The specific S5 that we're in has the sport differential, which means that it has true torque vectoring, and that is fun. Because of that, it also makes it a little bit more engaging around the corners and just everyday driving. If you guys don't know what torque vectoring is, it basically means that it can spin one side of the car at a different speed or with different amounts of power than the other side, meaning that if you're turning into the right, it can use those inner wheels to kind of grip you through that corner more than the outer ones, or vice versa, depending on power application. The next thing that makes this S5 basically a grown-up WRX is the power band. The power band pulls all the way to redline, making it a lot more engaging to do this. Now the WRX kind of falls on its face up in the higher RPMs, and it feels like you lose a lot of torque and horsepower at the upper end, and we're saying stock for stock. My tuned WRX did not do that, but stock for stock, you guys know what I'm talking about. The FA20 WRX falls on its face in the higher RPMs. Not only that, but in these Audis, you really do feel the torque. You feel that power get put down to the wheels, where in the WRX, you kind of just feel like a spaceship. You don't really feel too much torque. You just are going. You're going pretty quick too, to be honest. Which I personally feel like the overall driving experience is very much assisted by torque. So that's what makes the S5 a little bit better than the WRX. Now as we downshift to second here, it brings me to my next point, the manual transmission. This thing can put the power down completely fine. If you're banging through shifts in the WRX, you're gonna get a lot of lurching, and it's not gonna feel like you're putting all of the power down between these shifts. Whereas on this, it just snaps right into gear and puts the power down immediately, right when you drop that clutch. My most important thing, and we are saying stock for stock here, the supercharger whine versus the turbocharged WRX. Those downshifts too, man, it just sounds so good. You cannot compare a stock turbo. It is a boxer, but it's not gonna compare a 4-cylinder to this V6 and this supercharged Audi. It's just not. The supercharger sound easily it beats the induction noises that you get out of a stock WRX. Sure, if you get a blow-off valve on there, it sounds pretty good, but I still don't think you're beating this. Now the overall comfort of these cars is completely different. The WRX is not going to even come close to the comfort that you get in this Audi. The quietness in the cabin is a very big difference between this and the WRX. This is going to be much more quiet, especially at highway speeds and going over bumps. If you're going over some pretty big bumps in the WRX, you are going to hear it and you are going to feel it. In the Audi, it kind of absorbs it a little bit better, quite a bit better if I might add, and you're not really going to get as many headaches driving this thing on the highway if you go over a lot of bumps. Not to mention in the Audi, you have the option of a Bang & Olufsen sound system, and as you guys probably know, that is quite unmatched. Now as my last point, obviously the Audi is going to be quite a bit faster, and I'll show you guys that as we send it off with this last little clip. So now let's move on to the interior and exterior styling. So in my opinion, the exterior styling of the B8 or B8.5 S5 is absolutely timeless. No matter what angle you look at this thing, it could be passed as a brand new car. The curves that you get on this thing are just absolutely perfect. The headlight design looks absolutely modern, and the taillights really wrap everything together. Now, I do believe that styling-wise, the WRX is held back by its kind of rally background, but that doesn't mean that the Audi can't pull ahead here. Also, not to mention the wheels, Subaru is not comparing to these at all. Now, hopping on the interior, I will give it to Subaru. Their carbon fiber is not that bad, but you're not getting Alcantara, you're not getting high quality leathers, you're not getting seats that look this good. Not only that, but the whole cockpit experience of the Audi is just miles better. You're not gonna get any weird creaks from anywhere on the interior. You can press on pretty much everything, like I said, pretty much everything, and not get any noise. For a 10-year-old car, this interior is gonna hold up way better than any Subaru. There's also a couple other things I forgot to mention earlier in this video that make this just overall better than the WRX or STI, which one of the first things that I forgot to mention was just the overall affordability of these cars and how much it costs to mod them and make them faster, because let's face it, if you're buying an Audi or a WRX, you're gonna want to mod them, either that or just make them your own. Now, luckily, they do both have a ton of aftermarket support, which makes modding these things pretty easy, but bang for buck, the Audi is going to get you more performance and better high quality parts for every dollar that you spend. Now, my S5 is pretty much stock on the outside other than this front RS grille, which does add a ton of look to it. And this is also pulled off of another Audi, so it's pretty easy to get your hands on. And funny enough, right behind me, I have an AWE exhaust that, yes, sure, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than any Subaru exhaust that you get, but you're actually going to get quite a bit of performance out of this versus just adding it to your Subaru. Horsepower for horsepower, this is going to get you more out of this V6 than you would out of just a 4-cylinder WRX. To get my old WRX from, I believe the stock horsepower is 270, 268 to be exact, I think, to 375 wheel, I had to put a good amount over 10 grand, close to 15 grand into it just to get it at 375 wheel. Now, that's obviously also including the price of the car, which I bought that new, so not really the best idea. But with a car like this, you can get this car a lot cheaper because it's older, and most of the time it'll have some miles on it. Now, you do need to be careful about maintenance stuff because of that, but if you guys know what you're talking about and you know what you're looking at when you buy these cars, which I might make a video on this actually, what to look for when you're buying a B8 or B8.5, then you'll pretty much be fine. Now, mine is pretty much stock other than a clutch and the exhaust I had ordered for it, but I have my full build pretty much planned out, and just from not touching anything other than the tune, you could put an $800 tune on this and be pushing $450 to the wheels. So not only can you get the car for a lot cheaper, but a simple plug and play tune on this, and you're gonna be blowing the doors off of a $15,000 built WRX. So bang for buck, definitely pick the Audi over just a WRX. I know that this is going to kind of be a little bit more expensive to maintain, but it's worth it. So in conclusion, the B8 or B8.5, S4 and S5 are a much improved WRX or WRX STI even. For the money that you can pick these things up for, there's almost no reason for you to go with a used WRX or even a new one. Not to mention with the Audi, you're not going to have to worry about your head gaskets blowing. But I'd like to hear your guys' opinion. Did you guys agree with me? Or do you guys think that the Subaru is actually a better overall car than the B8 S4? Put in the comments what you think. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel. Every single sub and like helps. Share it if you liked it. See you guys in the next one.